President Donald Trump and InfoWars, yours truly, have been accused of espionage. During this week's Senate hearings on Russian hacking, the usual suspects, the establishment Democrats and rogue U.S. intelligence heads, attempted to frame Donald Trump and InfoWars for colluding with the Russians and violating the National Defense Authorization Act.
Mr. Armstrong, you'd mentioned in your answer to, I think, Ms. Spears' question, that there are other RTs operating in the U.S. Can you describe them, list them?
Sure, thank you. So you have RT, you have Sputnik, you have Ruppli, and then I think you have them feeding other entities. InfoWars comes to mind, where those are echo chambers.
Comey, are you aware that Roger Stone played a role in the Trump campaign?
I'm not going to talk about any particular person here today, Mr. Schiff.
This bizarre circular thing happening where the president cites a theory that he was wiretapped, which developed on the kind of fringe right-wing media. And then after his tweet storm, InfoWars then started saying, well, look, it was the New York Times that reported it, citing our story, misreading our story. And now, a few weeks later, the White House and the president are citing InfoWars.
Are you aware that Mr. Stone also stated publicly that he was in direct communication with Julian Assange and WikiLeaks?
Same answer.
We're going to start shutting Alex Jones and others down, and we're going to sue them, and we're going to have the Justice Department come after them. And get this, folks, if they can shut us down, you're next.
That's right. And now investigators are busy chasing the conspiracy theory that it was far-right news organizations like Breitbart, the Drudge Report, and of course, InfoWars. You know, they mentioned us by name, and they accused us of assisting Russian operatives and spreading covert and illegal propaganda that helped secure the election for Donald J. Trump.
You know, I think it's really important as we sit here that we explain this to the American people in a way that they can understand it.
We are at war with Russia.
So would you say that Russia engaged in hybrid warfare in its effort to undermine our democratic process and engage in our electoral process? Director Comey?
They engaged in a multifaceted campaign of active measures to undermine our democracy and hurt one of the candidates and hope to help one of the other candidates.
I actually think that their engagement was an act of war.
You said we were attacked by Russia. That's not a small thing.
Yes.
An attack doesn't just invite a counterattack, it demands one, else you reveal your fundamental weakness and get attacked again.
Never in the history of our elections has a country attacked us the way that Russia has.
I think before government officials change our foreign policy and declare war against a sovereign country, as you all are attempting to do, we, citizens, have a right to know on what basis you're doing that.
If there is objection, and I note the senator from Kentucky on the floor, I will say before I read this, if there is objection, you are achieving the objectives of Vladimir Putin. You're achieving the objectives of trying to dismember this small country that has already been the subject of attempted coup. If they object, they are now carrying out the desires and ambitions of Vladimir Putin, and I do not say that lightly.
Senator from Kentucky.
I object.
Objection is heard.
The senator from Kentucky is now working for Vladimir Putin.
You're carrying water for the Kremlin.
I'm not carrying water for the Kremlin. You're a sitting member of Congress on the Intel Committee, and you can't say they hacked.
You're gonna have to move your shoulder to RT Russian television because
you know what?
This
That's
is perfect.
Just so
this is
beneath your
placed.
office because it's so dumb and you're being duplicitous. I'm asking you, did they hack Podesta's emails? And you can't say it.
Personal insults like that, Tucker. You
just said I was carrying. You said I was carrying water for Putin.
Russian scum!
Our battleships weren't sunk and our towers didn't collapse a la 2011. But make no mistake, 2016 is a year that we should mark on our calendars. And it's still going on. The attack didn't end on Election Day.
Donald John Trump, a man who, to borrow a phrase from another December long ago, will live in infamy.
If we discover that Donald Trump or his advocates played a role in helping to devise strategy, if they're the ones who came up with crooked Hillary, if they're the ones who came up with she's ill, something's wrong with her energy, and the way that he basically, described her in the campaign, I think that is something that would put the question squarely on the table whether or not he should be impeached.
Maxine Waters is completely delusional. And she honestly expected that President Donald Trump would get impeached as a result of all of this, right? I mean, it's a witch hunt. This is just 60 plus days into Donald Trump's presidency. And they are trying to convince the American public that Trump and his staff are guilty of espionage. By the way, here's a list of the evidence that they have gathered that would implicate Donald Trump and his staff and InfoWars for colluding with the Russians. You see that? They got nothing. And now it's safe to say that Trump has been vindicated for what everyone said was an outlandish claim that Barack Obama was wiretapping him, because lo and behold, the House Intelligence Committee chairman was finally forced to admit it.
So first, I recently confirmed that on numerous occasions, the intelligence community incidentally collected information about U.S. citizens involved in the Trump transition. Details about U.S. persons associated with the incoming administration, details with little or no apparent foreign intelligence value, were widely disseminated in intelligence community reporting. Third, I have confirmed that additional names of Trump transition team members were unmasked. And fourth and finally, I want to be clear, none of this surveillance was related to Russia or the investigation of Russian activities or of the Trump team.
In case you haven't heard, InfoWars has become the most influential media outlet in America. We're making freedom go viral. And now we are proud to announce a new weapon in the epic battle against the globalists. InfoWars Prime, where you can watch live high-definition feeds of The Alex Jones Show, plus exclusive insider videos from the InfoWars crew and behind-the-scenes action. Go to InfoWars.com/app and download today. InfoWars Prime is available right now for your iPhone or Android. You will have access to exclusive videos that you can't see anywhere else. And that means live coverage of events and breaking news on location as it happens. You can also take advantage of amazing deals from the InfoWars store that are only available for InfoWars Prime subscribers. That's InfoWars Prime at InfoWars.com/app. And if you can hear my voice, you are the resistance.